Time to suit up, all you mentees, and talk about two brand new Marvel Omnis coming out in November of 2025. So let's check these books out together. This video is sponsored by Marvel Comics, so thank you so much to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us information about both of these Omnis that are coming out later this year. And yes, that was the X symbol, not Wakanda Forever, although we do need a couple more Black Panther, one more for a big gap fill. No, and two for gap fill. Anyway, it's not Black Panther. It is X-Men, and two of them at that, coming out this November. It said in the past that we were not done with X-Men announcements, and we're still not done after these. But let's go ahead and talk about the first one. The first one is another one of the old Knucklehead. That's right. The best there is at what he does, and apparently what he does is get collected in omnibus format, because coming out in November is a follow-up to a book that came out in 2024, and it is Wolverine, Return of Wolverine Omnibus. So let's take a look at the first of three covers. This standard edition cover is drawn by the legendary John Cassaday and features, of course, Wolverine. Now, what will be collected in this omnibus? I said it was a follow-up to last year's Death of Wolverine, and this is the Return of Wolverine. Can't keep a good guy down. So collected in here is Wolverines 1 through 20, Hunt for Wolverine number 1, Hunt for Wolverine Weapon Lost 1 through 4, Hunt for Wolverine to Adamantium, Agenda 1 through 4, Claws of a Killer 1 through 4, Hunt for Wolverine Mystery and Madripoor 1 through 4, Hunt for Wolverine Dead Ends number 1, The Return of Wolverine 1 through 5, Wolverine and the Infinity Watch 1 through 5, and then material from Marvel Legacy number 1, Where is Wolverine subplot pages. So that is what will be collected in here for the first time in an omnibus format. Some of these stories have been collected before in complete collections. I do believe there was an oversized hardcover of some of the stories in here, but all of them now, from the moment that he left until he came back. And then, of course, there was all new Wolverine that took over the cowl. Don't really want to call it a mantle of Wolverine while he was out. All right, let's look at our first direct market cover. And your very first direct market cover is supplied by none other than Nick Bradshaw. Again, featuring the character of Wolverine. So in here, you're going to find the work of Charles Soule, Mariko Tamaki, Jim Sub, David Marquez, Tom Taylor, Marjorie Bennett, Jason Latour, Todd Nauck, Chris Claremont, and Steve McNiven, just to name a few of the creators. And let's go ahead and check out the next direct market cover. So there's two direct market covers. And this one here is supplied by R.V. Silva, who went on after this and, of course, did a lot of the artwork in House and Powers of X. But before that, he was working on the pages here of The Return of Wolverine. So a lot of this is happening in the aftermath of the death of. You have the Wolverines, where you have characters like Lady Deathstrike and Sabretooth and Mystique trying to carry on that legacy. You've also got Laura not knowing her place, where she's going to be after Wolverine died, and then you've got Decan, you've got Shogun's Weapon X, you have the character of Fang coming into play through here, as well as Phantomel, I think is the new character that appears through these pages, and then eventually you do get his return. But what happens to the adamantium that he's left in, like, at the very end of the death of Wolverine? What happens to that? Doesn't everybody want that? Doesn't a certain project want that back? But anyway, you can find out by reading this omnibus. So that is your first X-Men related omnibus. Let's talk about the second book that is also coming out in November. And this is one when people were asking me, are we going to get any X-Men creator-centric books from the Krakoa era, or are they just specifically sticking to just the Dawn of X in chronological reading order? Well, I said that we would get some creator-centric, and I've announced the Jerry Dugan one, so it's my pleasure to get to announce the one that I get asked the most about. X-Men by Al Ewing Omnibus coming out in November. Let's check out our standard edition cover. And your standard edition cover is supplied by Stefano Caselli and featuring these X-Men Red characters. Some you may be familiar with, and others you may be scratching your head as to who they are. Don't worry, they all get introduced through these pages. So I said X-Men Red. What is collected in here? Sword 1 through 11, X-Men Red 1 through 15, 16 the A story, 17 and 18, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants 1 through 3, Resurrection of Magneto 1 through 4, Cable Reloaded number 1. That one has a ridiculous gun in it. I love it. X-Men Before the Fall, Heralds of Apocalypse number 1, Marvel Voices X-Men number 1. So yes, in here you are going to find, of course, the work of Al Ewing writing the stories, Valerio Schitti, and you're also going to find the work of Stefano Caselli, Jacopo Cabagni, Giulio Villanova, and also Juan Cabal and André Genot, just to name a few of the creators that were working on this book, along with Al Ewing. But yes, this is when, how do I say this without spoiling it? Storm and Magneto decide to take the team elsewhere, and you have Sword, so you have the return of Agent Brand, but with a couple of new characters that are helping Sword. So a lot of this does take place in space. And before I talk about anything else, let's look at our direct market cover. So your direct market cover is supplied by Felipe Mazafera and features this classic looking era X-Men versus Magneto. But Magneto was with the team during this whole time. So what is the resurrection of exactly? Well, one way for you to find out what that means. But yes, X-Men Red was the other ongoing series besides Immortal X-Men and Uncanny. And if you're wondering what the Storm and the Brotherhood, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants is, that's when the series was part of the big Sins of Sinister crossover. So it continues. And then, of course, the story continued into the resurrection of Magneto. But, oh my gosh, this was such a blast to read. I love the characters in Sword. That series could have gone on forever. And Al Ewing stories are just freaking awesome if you haven't had a chance to read them. So if you're just wanting to collect X-Men the Krakoa era and by creators, then this is the book that you were looking for. But that's it for this round of announcements. In the comments down below, let me know what other Wolverine Omnibus you would love to see collected one day. Like you want to see the Greg Rucka era collected. You want to see a continuation of the ongoings with the volumes. Oh my gosh, would it be a 7? Yeah, volume 7. Would you like to see any other creator-centric Krakoa era X-Men books collected in omnibus format? But that's it for this round. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.